You actually hurt me. Allow me to return the favor.
I hit a lot harder than she does.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This is FiveXFive and I'm Simo. If you haven't already, smash that like and sub button. Now grab your fave bevy, a seat, and let's get into it. I'm back, so let's talk about McFarlane's latest 80s Wonder Woman action figure. This is the back of the box, the side, the other side, and the front. Now let's see what's in the box. It comes with the trading card. Pause to read the back. A sword. This is the same sword we saw in the OG classic figure. Collector's edition classic figure. An axe, the same axe. All these accessories are the exact same accessories that came in the classic collector's edition. Same shield. Note that these weapons are not the correct weapons that appear in the source art featured on the collector card. We get hands, grippy hands, other grippy hands, jazz hands, the other jazz hand, the stand, which she's on, and of course the lasso. You have to have a lasso. It's not wired or anything, it's just rope. And this is the full view figure from the front and now from the behind. A close up on the face. So let's see how she moves. As expected, this big mane of hair really impedes articulation. I am really struggling with it here. She barely moves up and down, barely moves side to side, unless you force it. So it really gets in the way of the shoulders. So it really impedes the range of motion on shoulder and arm action. So even though the joints are there, there's still problems. And then you have bicep swivel, but this is also impeded by the cut that follows the muscle line, which was a choice. But it's present in the original OG figure. Double jointed elbows. Good range of motion, but the bracer does slightly impede things, but that's okay. It's not an unnatural range of motion. Then there's a ball jointed hip, which allows for pivot and swivel. Rotation, full rotation. There is no torso articulation, upper torso articulation, because of the bustier. Hip articulation, you get swivel, pivot, hinge. Really good range of motion, actually. Double jointed knees. Full pivot, hinge, and swivel on the ankles. Toe articulation. full hinge, swivel, and pivot on the wrists as well. Ball jointed wrists. Now here are some comparisons with the OG classic Wonder Woman, with our Trinity, with Cheetah, cutie, patootie, little cheetah. So my 80s Wonder Woman pre-order finally came in. I'm in Toronto. So I thought it was a good excuse to review this figure because I wasn't really reviewing when I got the original OG Wonder Woman collector's edition. So this is kind of my do-over, I guess. First things first, this is an identical figure to the OG collector's edition. The sculpt is the exact same thing. It's just a repaint with a new head sculpt. Do with that as you will. It looked like there was some minor changes to the engineering of the figure, so I wanted to kind of give this a once over and really kind of dissect it and experiment with it to see if there were any improvements from the OG. Like, for example, the rings, the shoulder rings in the OG were really gappy. They would leave big spaces in the arms and the chest cavity, and it was kind of unappealing. And I was hoping that some of that had been improved on, and it looks like it from the 80s figure, and initially it looks to be true. But after having some time with the figure and experimenting and actually swapping some parts for testing and stuff, I realized that actually there is no engineering change really on this figure that I can see or tell. The rings do appear less gappy on the 80s figure, and visually they are, but it's actually because of the hair. The hair locks the arms into place and the rings as well, so they appear more full and they don't actually have any improvements on their engineering. Another thing I didn't like about the OG figure, which I was hoping was improved on here because it looked like it, was the legs were really spread far apart in a wide stance, which kind of limits her ability to take more feminine or delicate flying poses. And it looked like the 80s figure improved on this, but after a little bit of experimentation, it actually isn't true either. It turns out that I guess just the hip joints in the OG figure were super tight, and once I started playing around with everything and swapping parts, I was able to get the OG collector's edition figure to have the same more narrow leg posturing, like distance apart from the feet, as this new 80s figure. So from an articulation perspective, they are nearly identical. I feel like there's always going to be controversy about the action figure faces, but in this case I actually really do like the face. Some faces are going to appeal to some people and some aren't. I didn't think I was going to like the face as much as I did. From the photography, I was like, this face isn't really doing it for me. I prefer the OG classic collector's edition face. But once I actually got this one in hand, I really liked it. I've seen some accusations that it's kind of lifeless and blow-up dollish, and I mean, I guess I can see what they're talking about in that, but it is supposed to be a neutral face, and they're just going for something that's just a little bit more fresh-faced, whereas the OG collector's edition has a more sophisticated, not older, but kind of, yeah, I guess just more sophisticated face look. So I guess it really just depends on what works for you, what your personal preference is, whether you like this face or not. I think, for me personally, I prefer the OG collector edition face and hair, but it's more of a combination here. I think if the hair here was hollowed out and allowed for more posability and flexibility, and it didn't impede the shoulder articulation as much, I might actually like this one more than it does. But the trade-off with the bulk of the hair, it looks great, but the functionality loss is too much for me, so I do prefer the OG collector edition head and face more. I'm a little sad that the gold doesn't actually go to the top of the tiara on the sculpt. The black hair paint or whatever has sort of dipped over it. I've seen it worse in other people's figures, but on mine it's kind of minimal, but I still noticed it. I think when it comes down to it, if you have the OG collector's edition, you are are not missing out on this figure. If you have this figure, you are not missing out on the OG figure. And if you're happy with the head and hair on either one, then you're good to go. And some poses. Because, you know, McFarlane figures can get accused of not being able to strike poses. Some of these poses are more successful than others. Where they fail is usually around the shoulders, and the range of motion is extremely limited by the hair sculpt. I couldn't get her arms to really come up to, or the angle that I needed to, because the big mane of hair does lock and get in the way. Aside from that, it's very poseable. So overall, I'm really happy with the figure. I think it's a great figure, and if this is the only one you have access to, I don't think you're in a bad position at all. And it's a good addition to your collection, especially if you needed a more classic Wonder Woman. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate this figure? Do you love this figure? Which one do you prefer? Call me out in the comments below. Anyhow, that's what I thought. That's a wrap for now. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe and look out for each other.